I've tried my best to give James Gunn, Peter Safran, David Zaslav, WP Discovery, WB Pictures, the DCU, the benefit of the doubt. Despite as my position as founder and presenter of this channel where I have to come on and ask serious questions of their plans, I have to do that. It's my objective position. It's my responsibility, or it's not worth having a YouTube channel. It does not matter who's watching it and who's not watching it. Even if just one of you is watching this channel, it's important I remain objective and I ask the important questions. But I've tried to remain unlike everybody else. I've tried not to take a side. I've sat on the fence and I have tried to be objective. But it's becoming harder and harder and harder to remain objective, because the more I try to remain objective, the more things I see from other people that simply don't make sense. Why is James Gunn hiding this Superman movie? Why have we only seen a 2-minute teaser? Why have we only seen a shoddy flying sequence in a TV spot? Why have we only seen a 5-minute preview, which isn't even a 5-minute preview? There's a lot of previously clips on that as well. So it's about, 4.5 minutes. It's still quite a bit of footage, right? I get that. Then we get the BTS footage, right? We're 2 months away and we haven't had a full trailer. As I pointed out yesterday, we're going to get a full Peacemaker 2 trailer tomorrow. A full trailer before we see a full Superman trailer. Superman comes out a month before Peacemaker 2 streams on Max, right? We've been through this before. So he's clearly hiding this movie. He's either hiding this movie because there's a lot of exciting secrets to hide, or it's so bad and they can't agree with what direction, what cut to go with, that's why they're hiding this movie. If they can't agree as a studios, DC Studios, WB Pictures, Warner Brothers Discovery, if they can't agree, as a group of people on what cut to release, how can they agree on what edit of the main trailer to release? And there lies a problem. The DCU and DC Studios, a logo, not a studio, has been built on very shoddy foundations. Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I am Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. You can follow me on X, Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad. X on Snapchat, BMouth60 Mick, your host with the most, and on TikTok, Mad Mickey's World. A very, very warm welcome to a very animated Thursday edition of the DCU Daily. When I'm this animated, I'm this angry, because I love films, I love stories, I love creativity, I love expressing myself, I love seeing other people genuinely express themselves in movies and television. And one thing that really, really pisses me off, when people are trying to take advantage of other people who love movies, who love DC, who love Superman. There's a lot of naive and innocent people being taken in by James Gunn, Safran, Zaslav, and the rest of them over there. So you better have one great Superman movie and DCU universe and franchise to show us all. Or God help you on release, because there's going to be a big autopsy, James, if this movie is a load of rubbish. As I say, I have tried to give you the benefit of the doubt, all of you. But it's becoming harder and harder and harder. Why is DC Studios not a real studio? Why is it just a logo, right? Why are you two co-CEOs? Why aren't you presidents? Because you're not a real studio. Like Marvel Studios, that is a real studio. And if I'm so far from the truth, where is the DC Studios social media account? You don't have one. I found this very shoddy and odd from the very beginning, because legally, to have a social media account for a studio, you have to be a real studio. Are you even registered as DC Studios as a real studio, as Marvel Studios is and the rest of the studios in Hollywood and all over the world are? I bet you're not even registered as a real studio. This whole thing, this whole arrangement seems like there's something not right. Now, I've spoken about this before, how I felt it was all rather odd, that this was all built on shoddy ground. The biggest mistake they made from the beginning was declaring a slate of films and streaming shows. A lot of they've now said are not happening, or let's say they've called, right? Swamp Thing was one of the most exciting things that they announced. They knew that people would be very excited by James Mangold writing and directing a Swamp Thing movie. What went wrong? It looks like it's not happening, and Mangold is no longer interested in working with DC and WB and Gunn. Why? I'll tell you why. Because Gunn wanted it as part of the DCU, and Mangold wanted to do a standalone movie as part of Elseworlds, right? Mangold's kind of spoken about this in a kind of way, where they kind of said to him they want his film to connect with the extended DCU. And it's clear James didn't want that. So that's interesting in itself. And I think this is why that relationship broke down, and we will not be seeing a Swamp Thing. And I think because we're not getting a Swamp Thing, that's why they decided to do Clayface. Now they have picked up another guy to rewrite that script. And that film's supposed to be shooting very well. When is it supposed to be shooting? Isn't Clayface supposed to be coming out next year? Anyway, it's an utter mess. You don't announce a slate of films and streaming shows until you release your first picture. Even the DCEU wasn't that dumb. There was nothing announced during the build-up and release of Man of Steel. They didn't do anything until that movie was released and they knew what kind of money they were going to make. So they went, 670 million global. Well, we wish we'd done better, but that's fair enough. That's all right, yeah. We can do more. We want to inject Batman in the mix because, hopefully we can at least make $1 billion on the next movie. But they made plans because they knew at least the last movie made respectable money, if not the money they actually wanted. But this, they've released one streaming show, and even before they released that streaming show, they announced a slate. This was a huge mistake. And you could tell on the last media call they did, they had this big do, didn't they? Big media do, big announcements. There weren't any big announcements. It was basically some mid-animated series on Max, and telling us that most of the properties that they announced are not happening, and that they've got a secret writer for Brave and the Bold, but James doesn't want to reveal who that is because he doesn't want to put pressure on them. How suspicious is that? Could he be the writer that he's talking about? Is it James Gunn who's writing this Batman movie now and he doesn't want to put more pressure on himself? When he's talking about another, he's normally talking about himself. He called Superman beautiful on that BTS footage. Maybe he's calling himself beautiful, right? It wouldn't surprise me because the man's ego is that huge. So as you can see, I'm really, really pissed off today because I'm not an idiot. I understand this business better than most people. I understand the references and the words they use. I understand when people are trying to pull the wool over our eyes. And I don't like people pulling the wool over my eyes. And what's even more frustrating is a lot of the accusations that the Snyder fans are making against this movie and this franchise are freaking true. A lot of people always say about the Snyderverse stands, they're just trying to inject poison, trying to put people from, enjoying the movies or going to watch the movies. They want this stuff to fail. Of course they do. They're desperate for James Gunn's Superman movie to fail. I think James Gunn and WB are actually giving the Snyder fans exactly what they want. None of this makes sense. And if you like it or not, James Gunn is hiding this Superman movie. He is. He's hiding this movie. Where is it? Where is it? We've barely seen anything. It is ridiculous. Now he will justify that by saying, well, you've seen a teaser, you've seen a 5-minute preview. Mate, we didn't need to see a 5-minute preview. We needed to see a main trailer. You've shown us, right, one clip. An extension of a clip we already saw in the teaser. Wonder why that is. It looks to me that they're only willing to show a certain amount of footage of this movie. That the other footage that they've shot of this film is so utterly problematic that the studio won't let Gunn show it. And the stuff they showed from the teaser is the only presentable stuff. I suspect that this is the case, and don't doubt me, you know my knowledge of the situation and this biz and this industry, because that would explain a lot, wouldn't it? I think there's disagreements. I think there's disagreements on what cut of the film they're going to show. And I mean, look, they can still deliberate on that. They've got a couple of months, but I mean, it's not long, is it? You should really know by now. You should be on the same page. The problem is, these people are never on the same page. The people making films today, making decisions on films today and entertainment, have no idea how to make films or make decisions on entertainment. Because back in the good old days, back in the early noughties and beyond, it was entertain them and we'll automatically make money and everybody's happy, right? We're giving them something and they're giving us their beautiful money. That's how it used to work, but that's not how it's working anymore. Isn't it funny listening to John Voight and President Donald Trump talking about making Hollywood great again, right? All you have to do is entertain people, mate, and you'll make money. Nah, you want to boot all the foreigners out of Hollywood. You don't want to shoot any movies abroad, right? You want to create a pure entertainment race. I mean, isn't it pure enough already, if you know what I bloody well mean? That's how you're trying to solve the problem. You're creating more problems, you blundering idiots. But never mind, you carry on. I've got my beautiful TV shows and movies on physical media. If you make good stuff going forward, great, I'll consume it. If you don't, you don't. I barely watch anything anyway. I will be consuming this Superman movie. Nothing's going to stop me from doing that. But we are having the wool pulled over our eyes. Now, I loved the first series of Peacemaker. I'm looking forward to seeing this extended trailer tomorrow. I'm not sure if I'm going to react to the trailer here on Movies TV Man. We will see. I'll definitely discuss it. But the fact that they're releasing a full trailer of this TV show, which comes out a month after Superman is released, is ridiculous, right? We spoke about this yesterday. Surely you know I'm not just being a nitpicky fan. Surely you realise what I'm saying is true. Surely you have the same opinion that a film releasing a month earlier should have its full trailer before a series which streams on Max a month later. Surely this is sane behaviour. I mean, I've said all of this. When he posted how excited he is for all of us to see the full trailer of Peacemaker 2, I put politely on his post what I felt. I did. Exactly. It was a monologue, and exactly what I'm saying here on today's DCU Daily, I said to him on the post, politely. I'm never rude to the man. I'm never rude to anyone. I'm a very polite guy. As you know, I'm a very well-measured, polite guy. I can get shouty, but I'm not rude. I'm very calm on social media, right? Losing my oxygen over millionaires who are making entertainment, using the term entertainment loosely, is not my thing. 52, how long have I got left? Let me enjoy my life. Let me drink beer. Let me smoke my cigarettes. Let me get off my head. Let me sleep with beautiful women. I live in a beautiful country, beautiful life. Why should I get angry over millionaires who can't even make movies and good streaming shows anymore? A bunch of, propaganda extremists, right, who are allowed to do whatever they want. It's insane. But Zaslav, at the very least, does get involved. That's why DC Studios isn't a real studio, because Zaslav really is the true president of DC Studios, if we're being honest. He's the one who's making all these final decisions, and he's not happy with the cut that Gunn wants to release. He's not happy with the version of the trailer Gunn wants to release. It's freaking obvious. I don't even have to have no knowledge. I don't need to be there. I don't need to know. I don't need to have sources and spies on this. It's pretty obvious what's going on. Almost 2 months away from release. 2 months! And we've had one teaser trailer. And basically, all the focus of the footage is around the same part of the film. Even Gunn bragged when he released the teaser that we ain't seen nothing from the film from what we saw in that teaser. I believe it, mate. I believe it. Isn't it funny how people expose what they're trying to do so blatantly. So the question is, as I asked on the top of the show, why are they hiding this movie? Because they can't agree on what version of the movie or what version of the trailer to release.